was staying in Jigawa State, where, as we stated earlier, the governor has continued to receive condolence visits from individuals across the country over the loss of his son and his mother. But the governor has also signed the 2025 appropriation bill into law. It is the budget of, it's about 689.3 billion naira, the highest in the history of Jigawa State. It is tagged the budget of transformation for greater Jigawa. Let's bring in the governor now. He joins us on the News at 10, Governor Umar Namadi. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Governor.
Thank you, Bishop. How are you?
I'm very well. Very well, sir. Let me start by commiserating with you on that really sad loss of your son and your mother. Thank you for taking out your time, even in this moment, to join us in this conversation. But let's begin with the budget, Mr. Governor. It is a record-breaking budget, 689.3 billion naira, highest in the history of Jigawa State. But you have said it is meant to restructure Jigawa State for greater good. What areas are you looking to focus?
Well, thank you very much for the condolence and for the concern for the commiseration. Thank you so much. Well, you can see that, like you said, the budget is the highest budget in the history of Jigawa State of 689.3 billion naira, out of which about 77% of the budget is on capital, well, about 23% is on recurrent expenditure. And this shows that the focus of the budget is really development, infrastructure, economy, and other areas that are supposed to grow the economy and also improve the infrastructure in the state. For example, if I can give a simple analysis, I think Minister of Works has the highest budget of about 28% of the budget, and then followed by Minister of Education, which has about 26.4% of the budget, then followed by Agriculture with about 14%. Then Health and Power followed along the side. So you can see the total budget is aimed at looking at the infrastructure development of the state, the human capital development, and also the economic transformation of the state. So this is the area we are looking at, and we hope that by the time this budget is fully executed in Jigawa State, Jigawa State will be a different place, inshallah.
But for a lot of people, when they hear this amount, as much as it sounds good to the ear, is where it's always about where will funding come from. I know that you have successfully increased your IGR from 1.2 billion naira to about, I think, 4.2 billion naira since September. Many will say that's commendable, and you also receive federal allocation, but that's not enough to fund the budget. So where's the funding going to come from?
Well, you see, if you look at the composition and the structure of the budget, it's clearly that our internal revenue has really improved, as you said, and we hope to improve it much greater in 2025. And also, you can see the federal allocation has also improved significantly. Thank you, Mr. President, for that. And I think with the improvement in the federal allocation and also the improvement in our internally generated revenue, we will be able to ensure that we have funded this budget. Also, we have some agreement with the African Development Bank, and we are already in the process. We have concluded, and so for Islamic Development Bank for funding Islamic Development for funding in education, well, African Development for funding in agriculture. So we have a combined source of funding that will be used to fund this budget. So we are sure, we are hoping that this budget will be fully executed, because the funding will certainly come from all the discussions, and what we have on ground also, it is also good enough to allow us for this budget.
Thank you so much for staying with us, Mr. Governor. Just before we lost connection with you, you were talking about funding the budget from your IGRO, the allocation, and then the African Development Bank. And I asked you if that means that you're looking to borrow to fund the budget.
The broad aspect of the budget is not very much significant, but what we are looking at, for example, for the Islamic Development Bank, The loan, about 60% of what is coming to us is coming as a grant, well about 40% is going to be a long-term loan over 20-25 years. The African Development Bank loan also, there is a grant part of it and also a loan part of it, a long-term loan part of it. So if you look at it, it's something that we can is flexible and will allow us to. And most of what we are going to do in most cases is a revenue generating issues. So that even if it's borrowing, you have a means of repaying that from the investment you are going to make.
So let me ask, because the 2024 budget had about 80% implementation. What are you doing to ensure that this is 100% implementation and that it also trickles down to the grassroots, that the residents of Jigawa State will feel the impact of this budget?
Well, the 80% you are talking is around the third quarter of the year. But I think at the end of the fourth quarter, December, the implementation is close to about 91-92%. So that is what it is for the 2024 budget. And if you look at what the impact, you talk of the impact is very glaring in Jigawa State. By the time you go around the state, you will see a lot of things happening in terms of economic activities, in terms of infrastructure development, and in terms of human capital development. Things are very much, they are very glaring, and people are saying it within themselves that yes, they have seen the impact of the 2024 budget on the state.
Mr. Governor, we're following developments in your state. I'm sure we'll speak to you over and over again as these issues come up. Thank you so much for your time, for taking out time to speak with TVC News. Governor of Jigawa State, Umar Namadi.
Thank you very much, Precious. Thank you so much.